Howdy boys, this weekend we have the UFC Tampa Fight Night, Covington versus Buckley. And I'm here to give my thoughts, opinions, picks, and predictions in a timely manner, for I have places to be and people to see. But before I get into that, I do want to say I've been noticing about 5 to 10 returning viewers on average in my videos that aren't subscribed. Drop a sub, you rat bastards. Come on now. But enough of that bullshit. Let's get into the picks and predictions. Starting off the card, Josephine Knutson versus Piera Rodriguez. I'm going with Josephine. She is a master of getting a decision, and I do not see a finish happening in this fight. Piera Rodriguez, I don't really rate her that highly. Going with Knutson by decision. Davy Grant versus Ramon Taveras. I'm going with Davy Grant. I think he'll outpoint Ramon on the feet to a decision. He also has the ability to mix it up. And I'm really not sold on Ramon Taveras yet. Davy Grant by decision. Miranda Maverick versus Jamie Lynn Horth. Every single time Jamie Lynn Horth fights, I completely forget who she is. I know I've watched every card that she's been on from top to bottom. Don't remember her fights or her fighting style. She has left no impression on me. On the opposite side, though, I remember most of Miranda Maverick's fights, and she's very good. I think she's going to just hold Jamie Lynn down for most of the fight and end up subbing her in the third. Miles John and Felipe Lima. I'm going with Felipe Lima almost out of bias of just not liking Miles Johns. I think he's kind of mid. I think at the best he'll be a gatekeeper of the top 15. And Felipe looked pretty good in his first fight. So I'm going to go with Felipe by another decision. Sean Woodson versus Fernando Padilla. I'm going with Fernando Padilla by third round finish. I think he's got better volume than Sean, better power, and I think it's going to give Sean some trouble that he's fighting a guy almost his height and reach. And he's got youth on his side too. Third round finish for Fernando Padilla. Joel Alvarez versus Drakkar Klose. Going with Joel Alvarez shouldn't be a shock to anyone. I think he's better than Drakkar Klose everywhere. Maybe not as good of a wrestler, but he's a better submission artist. Has a higher output, better power, and he's got quite the size advantage over Drakkar Klose. So yeah, I'm going with a late second round finish for Joel Alvarez. Michael Johnson versus Otman Azaitar. Going with Michael Johnson by decision. Johnson has the ability to mix it up, and he has tons of more experience than Otman Azaitar. Both guys are chinny at this point, but Otman has been finished twice in his last two fights. I don't think that bodes well for him, especially with Michael Johnson has some of the fastest hands probably ever in lightweight. And if he's turned on and doesn't have one of those coin flip nights to where he just shows up and could be beat by a 5-year-old, I think he'll destroy Otman Azaitar. Navajo Sterling versus Tuco Takos. I'm going with Navajo Sterling. I don't even know who Tuco Takos is. I'm pretty sure this must be his debut because no one I've seen knows who he is. Oh no, he fought on the... He lost to Omar Sy? What the fuck? I guess I just blanked out during that. Yeah, he obviously made no impression on me. And Navajo looked fantastic on the Contender Series. So, yeah, going with Navajo Sterling, obviously. Second round finish. Adrian Yanez versus Daniel Marcos. Going with Daniel Marcos by decision. I think he's a little too well-rounded for Yanez and too tough for Yanez to hurt. Yanez is a bit of a one-trick pony. He relies very heavily on his boxing to finish you, and if he can't, just to outpoint you. And Marcos himself has a pretty high volume, so I just don't see Yanez being able to finish him or outpoint him. Daniel Marcos by decision. Victor Petrino versus Dustin Jacoby. Going with Victor Petrino. If Jacoby was younger and he wasn't past the Unk curse, I'd probably go with him, but Petrino's got the youth, the size, the strength, the speed, the power. I think he potentially finishes Dustin, but I'm going to say decision. Jacoby's lost a couple of decisions in his career, so that's how I see it happening. Manuel Cap versus Bruno Silva. Going with Manuel Cap by decision. I think he's going to outskill Bruno Silva pretty much everywhere. I think he's a much more educated striker than Bruno. The only way I see Bruno winning this is by getting a finish, and Cap is proven to be very hard to finish. He's never been knocked out. He's only been subbed twice, and his wrestling has improved since then. So yeah, I don't see Bruno managing to get the finish, and if he doesn't get the finish, I don't see how he outpoints Manuel to a decision. Cub Swanson versus Billy Quarantillo. I'm going with Billy Quarantillo by third round finish. He is an absolute volume marauder. If Cub wasn't practically granddad status at this point at 41 and featherweight, I'd probably be choosing him. But Billy's got a great chin, throws like there's no tomorrow, and he's pretty well rounded himself. Billy Quarantillo, third round sub. And in the main event, Colby Covington versus Joaquin Buckley. I'm going with Joaquin Buckley by early third round TKO. I don't see how Colby gets this done. I don't think his volume, pressure fighting style is going to win in the fight here. Buckley's never shown to have bad cardio. He was able to outpace some people at middleweight, and he's looked just gradually better ever since dropping down to welterweight. He's got the power, the speed, strength, youth. The only advantages Colby really has are his pace and pressure, maybe a slightly better chin and a little better skill in wrestling. But what if there is any discrepancy in the skill in the wrestling between the two? I think Joaquin will make up for it by being a lot stronger than Colby and faster. So yeah, going with Joaquin Buckley, third round TKO.